Ah,
Mhm.
who'd like to go first on sharing their lesson for the week?
I will.
Good on you.
But it's from before Christmas, of course, because I wasn't here last week.
Mhm.
So I've got written here, I am creating oneness in capital letters, so shouting at me. Um, and I believe that that's happening. Like it's a struggle, but I see it happening over a period of time. So it's just in the way that I'm actually speaking now, how I'm interacting with people, um, and guidance from the universe. I'm just putting it out there, and it's coming back. So I'm feeling very positive about that.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Who else would like to share?
Lee looks like she's just biting at the bit.
Yeah, mine was God says yes, which was really good actually, because it sort of at times it was like watching my thoughts because God's saying yes to them. And if they're not helpful, yeah, it's just dumb. So stop it. And yeah. And it's so expensive. Yeah. I enjoyed that one.
That's cool. Gary?
I'll
Oh,
go ahead.
Gary. Yep.
Mine was freedom is the only thing I can offer my brother, freedom from my judgment, choosing unification with differences. And had a number of opportunities to practice that this week. Um, the biggest one was probably over the weekend where I lost about $300,000 worth of contracts and work
Oh.
that I was really depending on, and it just one after another blew up. I was like, I love my brothers, you know, fine. All that means is something better is coming. And so I had myself in a really good place last night that I woke up this morning and I was like, I just feel like I just got kicked in the gut. And then I thought, I started telling Robert what I was feeling, and then I went, nope, 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 nope. Something better is coming. I am not even going to put it to language. Not going to put it to language. And reeled myself back in. And actually, I'm fine. I just know that when things like that occur, what I know is that it means I'm supposed to go in another direction, and I'm supposed to put out more effort for things that are hard for me so that I can build the muscle of doing it differently. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I just think that there's no control over anybody other than your response to it. And so to be able to take that, because you know me, V, you've known me forever and ever and ever. Something that big that has to do with critical finances blows up, I'm generally not happy. Generally
It
really
would
not.
be.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I just figure I'll create it in some other way. So that's what I'm up to, gang.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a hard one to share. So thank you for doing that.
Well, especially because the two people who blew up the contracts, I actually feel love from. Don't take it personally. Has nothing to do with me, actually. It has everything to do with the complexities of their own life. And so, I can have nothing but care and compassion for them, which is what I do. So,
Mm.
and I've made it really good for me.
Yeah. Well, mine was quite simple. Are my thoughts and actions freeing me or imprisoning me? And I didn't feel imprisoned at all. So, but I do wonder, you know, it's the usual monkey mind stuff of the repetitive thing, and you think, you know, you become numb to how it actually feels. So I think there's still more exploration to do, because I'm sure there's times where I was doing things or thinking things that were have to rather than I get to kind of thing. But yeah, it's a work in progress. I think on the right track.
Yep.
Joe.
I wrote, freedom is creation because it is love. And I'm sitting here just pondering because I didn't really put much focused effort into it, but just trying to relate it. And this past week has been really hectic. A lot going on, not really having a break, not really getting to sit down and just be. And really, hey, Callie's calling me. And really just being in this place, I just feel nothing but love. I know I've had slight frustrations with some things, but ultimately, I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm in a great space, and interesting to see where all this is going. But I'm gonna
I
mute
have
and
this
call you
question.
back and see what's going on.
Sorry, Joe. I thought you were done.
Oh, sorry.
I have this question burning in my mind right now, and I want to ask it, but I don't want to derail us. You think I should ask it, you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a deep question, but
You want an
because
answer to
I know.
it?
But I had a friend pass recently, and I started thinking about following the Course in Miracles like we do. I mean, I have I have my own spiritual path, and the Course absolutely complements it. But I keep thinking, how do people at the end of our lives, how does the Course interweave into that point of death? How do we make peace with all that was and all that is to come through the lens of the Course in Miracles? And when I ask myself that question, I keep thinking from strictly a course perspective. I haven't found yet a pathway to answer that for myself. I know that there is that within the course, but I want to know what you guys feel about that question. How does the course prepare you for that transition? And do we think about that? Or is it just about, because I'm trying to apply it to, okay, my weekly lesson is this. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's about, for me anyways, it's about developing this relationship with the overall concept of the divine, so I can navigate at the end of my life that one moment that determines, in my opinion anyways, my next incarnation. And that is, what am I ultimately really attached to? And the active part of the course for me as a spiritual practice is the ability to see God in everything and everyone, and create that as a holy encounter. That is a beautiful practice for me. Get off judgment, see it as a holy encounter. And then I think, well, but how does that prepare me to leave my body in absolute faith that I'm traveling to the other side into something that is predictable, and that I'll be embraced by that? Anyways, it was a burning question in my head, and I don't even know why. I've never asked myself that question until I saw all of you. I just thought, well, if I can't ask it here, where can I ask it? So I wanted to see if anyone have thought those thoughts before. And if so, if you've come up with a conclusion or an answer for yourselves.
Well, can I just give some kind of a response to that? So it's quite interesting you asked that question, because last night I had a dream that the world was coming to an end. And Paul and I were just sitting there together, looking at each other, smiling, and feeling so content. So for me, the answer to that is contentment.
Okay. Anybody else want to give it a stab?
Yeah. As soon as you started that conversation, it just came to me that we walk into heaven hand in hand with our brothers and sisters, which is your thing, very much. Learned that from you. So I suppose in that last moment, if another thing that also came up for me was I went to Julie's brother's memorial a few months ago, and his way of seeing death was that what he'd said is, if I go to this place and there's all the people that have gone before me, bliss. If I go into eternal quietness, bliss. Yeah. So I suppose he wasn't, maybe he was on his last lifetime he'd done this one, because he did have a very spiritual nature. He might have made it.
You may have.
Yeah. But if we could be in bliss when we die, I think
That's
that's
the
the
objective. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Gary, you've seen a lot of people pass over. I've only seen my dad, and when he did, he was in hospital and he was in a lot of pain. And when he did, the pain was gone. I just felt that he had no pain anymore, and it was a relief. So I don't see death as, I don't know. I have no attachment to what happens on the other side, because I have no way of knowing. I'm surrendered to that. But I think all we can do is live our lives as if it is the last day, and to be at peace with the fact that we've done our best.
Yeah, and this is why I think the course, I'm getting it answered right now, because as we practice, the principles in the course, especially in the relational aspect, where we're seeing through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, and we're doing our best to create holy encounters with as many people as possible, that causes the least amount of harm in our day-to-day life, the least amount of harm and the greatest good. And maybe at the end of our lives, because I believe this to be true, at the end of our lives is the accumulation of the state of consciousness that you've lived in for the majority of your life. And then the last frame on the movie of your life is the frame of the thing that you've been most attached to. And if doing good in the world is what you've been most attached to, then that will be the last frame, and bliss will be your gift. I'm liking that definition the most so far. So
I like to believe it's what's in your heart, not at your last moment or your final moment, but in every moment. And Gary, with how much wisdom and knowledge I have obtained from you, I can only say that you can let this fear go. There is so much love in your heart that it is going to be everything that you've wanted it to be when that moment comes for you. You have nothing to worry about, unless you've got a secret life where you totally hate everybody and all sorts of crap like that. But I struggle seeing that, so I'm going to go with the amount of love that you have for humanity, even those that you don't always agree with. It's beautiful, and that right there is bliss in itself, to where you can hold love for someone and not agree with them. That in itself is a thing not many people can actually do in this world. So I feel you're doing it, and I have no fear that we're going to meet on the other side of those pearly gates one day.
Well, I'm going to look forward to that celebration. And I think it'll be awesome. I'll tell you the truth, I don't think about this. I got on the call with you guys and I thought, how does this serve death? That was like this ringing in my head. And I'm thinking, I'm going to ask that question, get everybody's opinion. How is this serving you to prepare for that? And so it's interesting to me that I even asked the question, but I guess it needed to be asked at some point for some of us, undoubtedly me. But yeah, I just thought about that a lot. I think probably I thought about that a lot today. So thank you guys.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat the question, Gary? Because I missed it.
I asked the question, how does A Course in Miracles serve us at the point of death? Like when we're at the point of death, what aspects of the Course are we bringing with us? Are we holding on to? Are we not holding on to? How does that serve us at the point of death? I think it was that question. It could have been a variation of that question, but that's what that question is now. So yeah, that's what I asked, Kelly.
My question is, how do you want it to serve you at the point of death?
Oh, I want it to be a wedding day. That's what I want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Unity, wedding, marriage.
Yeah, I'm gonna marry God. That's what I'm gonna do.
Already the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be in a white dress, but maybe in a scarlet one.
It could be in a rain. You could be in a rainbow.
I would like that the best.
Mhm.
I just had an image of us all marrying each other.
I just had an image of us not having bodies anymore and us being just one big light, which would be really lovely.
Mm.
Can
That'd be
I
cool.
tell you, I love that because I had a tooth pulled today and I would love to not have a body.
It's not fun, Jane. It's not fun.
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
I'm so sorry. If you have thieves oil, put thieves oil on it. It'll numb it.
Yeah, or clove.
Really?
Or
Clove.
clove.
is what they use, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It'll help with the tooth pain.
Yes. Well, should we start reading?
Down.
Yep.
Where did
They
we get up
changed-
to?
We're starting part 5, the undivided will of the sonship. There it is.
Which one are we on, V?
Sorry.
Which
We're
one?
starting number 1 there. We're starting a whole new section today.
The undivided will of the sonship. Okay.
Do you like?
I'm happy
Lord?
to start us.
Cool.
Yeah. Can you be separated from your identification and be at peace? Dissociation is not a solution. It is a delusion. The delusional believe that truth will assail them and they do not recognize it because they prefer the delusion. Judging truth as something they do not want, they perceive their illusions which block knowledge. Help them by offering them your unified mind on their behalf, as I am offering you mine on behalf of yours. Alone, we can do nothing, but together our minds fuse into something whose power is far beyond the power of its separated parts. By not being separate, the mind of God is established in ours and as ours. The mind is invincible because it is undivided. That was a little convoluted, the first three. Say again, V?
I just had goosebumps because it feels exactly like what we were just talking about, being
It
nobody's
was.
light, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
What was confusing, Gary?
Well, I just thought it was just like there was just so many delusions, illusions, um, just the alliteration that was happening throughout that paragraph was interesting.
Hmm.
Does anyone have any questions about that or want to discuss clarification or make comments? Are we all
Well, it
good?
was an interesting question there. Can you be separated from your identification and be at peace? My initial thought was, well, yes, my identification, I'm not my body, I'm not my job, I'm blah, blah, blah. But then it's saying dissociation is not a solution, it's a delusion. So therefore, it's still important what my job is and who I am.
Mhm.
Yes.
I mean, if you really chunk up to a really high level and say, you know, each one of us is an individuated aspect of God experiencing the creation through our own individual filters, so that we're having billions of different experiences here on the planet, but that light that animates us all is the same. But we have different experiences and we're experiencing all of creation. I mean, one of the things a concept that was presented to me many, many years ago was God is here to experience itself in all its myriad forms. So just a thought.
Thank you.
I love the because I can't see everyone. I love the heading, the undivided will of the sonship. And then when we leave the planet, because we're here in undivided will of the sonship, we're in oneness through unity. And so when we leave the planet, we're still in the exact same.
Yeah.
I was going to question that last line. The mind is invincible because it is undivided. In previous paragraphs or previous readings, isn't the mind associated with the ego, and isn't the ego divided from God?
I was a little curious about that because that's the first time I remember anyways of saying that that our minds would become one and there would be some sort of realization because mind to me as well, Joe, represents a certain level of identification with separation. Where I kind of got like I'm not sure of that. It says dissociation, meaning that you cannot be separated from your identification and be at peace. And then it says dissociation is not a solution, it is a delusion. And I'm wondering what they mean by identification. So my sense is that the identification is your soul or your spirit. And so to dissociate from that is not a solution. It's a delusion. Like we can't be separated from who we are. The delusional belief that truth will assail them and they do not recognize it because they prefer the delusion. I didn't. Well, maybe I can if we do it word by word. The delusional belief that truth will assail them. So, what do we all claim or think is the truth? Is that the yeah? I'll shut up. What do you guys think the truth is that they're referring to here?
Bear in mind as well that here it's got the mind of God in capitals. So they're not talking about our individual minds, they're talking about when we actually manage to become one, that is the mind of God. And that mind is invincible. That's how I'm reading it.
That makes all the difference in the world.
I didn't catch that. Thank you for
Isn't
pointing
the
Yeah,
that out.
me
mind
either.
And isn't the mind to do with the consciousness rather than the ego or anything else? It's about the consciousness or the subconsciousness.
I've never seen it like that, but I always thought mind was about the totality of whatever that soul has experienced through time constitutes the mind, which is something that travels with the soul through time. I could have that wrong, but I don't think so. But who knows? That's a really important distinction that they are capitalized.
It's taken
Because
me a
it
while
goes
to get
out.
that, but yeah, you look out
Yeah,
for
yeah,
they capitalize something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the last sentence says the mind, capitalized, is invincible because it is undivided. So that must be the mind of union, how we see ourselves unified. What do you guys think? You think we got it?
I have a feeling the next paragraph will bring clarity for me.
It always
It always
does.
Always does.
We should just be quiet and just read, right?
No, but then it's too
Always
easy to
gets
just
in.
gloss over it. When you just read, you just gloss over it, whereas we can, and now we can identify the bit that's actually needing clarification.
Yeah.
So who's going to read that one? Everyone's got their heads down. Okay, I'll read it. Coralie, would you like to read that one?
Ah, sure. The undivided will of the sonship is the perfect creator, being wholly in the likeness of God, whose will it is. You cannot be exempt from it if you are to understand what it is and what you are. By the belief that your will is separate from mine, you are exempting yourself from the will of God, which is yourself. Yet to heal is still to make whole. Therefore, to heal is to unite with those who are like you, because perceiving this likeness is to recognize the Father. If your perfection is in Him and only in Him, how can you know it without recognizing Him? The recognition of God is the recognition of yourself. There is no separation of God and His creation. You will realize this when you understand that there is no separation between your will and mine. Let the love of God shine upon you by your acceptance of me. My reality is yours and His. By joining your mind with mine, you are signifying your awareness that the will of God is one.
Thank you.
I have a question for everyone to present it to everyone.
What's the
I
question,
may
Gary?
be answering it for myself. There's something in this by the belief that your will is separate from mine. You are exempting yourself from the will of God, which is yourself. Yet to heal is to make whole. Therefore, to heal is to unite with those who are like you, because perceiving this likeness is to recognize the Father. There's a few things that are interesting to me. And I know what the truth is here, but the way it's worded, my mind went someplace else. Therefore, to heal is to unite with those who are like you. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how about all those that aren't like you? Maybe there's no one that's not like you, but that one distinguishing comment right there, those who are like you, gave me pause. Does anyone have anything they want to elaborate about that, or am I just seeing it wrong?
Well,
guess-
I think that's a trigger for like everyone is like you.
Yes.
And to be able to recognize that is
Mm.
what this is all about.
Yeah, that's what
Sorry.
my conclusion is too.
What
For
were you
me,
going to
the
say
key
something,
word
Linda?
is to heal. Oh, sorry, V.
Well, I was just going to say that remembering too that there's different vibrational levels as well. So there's always people who aren't necessarily there, or they may be above where we are. So I think we need to take that into consideration as well.
Joe, you were going to say something?
Yeah, yeah. I apologize for interrupting you, V. But for me, the key word is to heal. I mean, obviously, we are all one, we are all like, but there is a big vibrational difference between a healed and a non-healed person. And I feel that's the key word right there that really puts it into perspective for me.
Yeah, that was what Linda was saying as well.
Mm.
I love this. The recognition of God is a recognition of yourself.
I feel like once you've read that, it kind of makes more sense. If you are exempting yourself from the will of God, which is yourself, exempting yourself sounds like it's, a nice little excuse, but if you're exempting yourself, you're actually excluding yourself from the whole sonship.
So will has been a word used constantly in this paragraph. So what's the definition of will? Your wanting to, your denial, your separation.
I think it's your choice.
And again, there's will with a capital and there's will in lowercase. So when it's God's will, it's in capital, and that's the sonship, by the belief that your will is separate from mine, and that's a lowercase will. That might involve the ego. If your belief that your will is separate from mine, well, that does sound like it's the ego having a little play there.
Yep.
Does that help, Linda?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the last sentence too. By joining your mind with mine, you are signifying your awareness that the will of God is one.
Mm.
I always in my mind, I think I want an action plan to know how to do that. So if we were to look at like by joining your mind with mine, and that always seems to come back down to your capacity to always like I keep thinking that our relationships are the doorway to our sanctity and to our spiritual growth. And if I can choose to see them as holy encounters, I bring the concept of union with God in all things to that moment. And that feels for me like the Course in Miracles in action. Does anyone else have a perspective on that, on how to bring your divided mind in alignment to the will? What do you guys do? Or what are ideas about how to do that? Am I asking too many questions?
I just kind of feel that the lessons that we set ourselves every week are really just to be put in place in every conversation that we have. And
I agree.
just to be conscious of it, yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for that comment, Callie. I agree. It's about being heart-centered.
Surrender is a good one.
Mm. You know, if you guys haven't read any of Byron Katie's work, it really is an active path of reframing the world around you. And part of that reframe is that if it's occurring, it's God's will. If it's happening, it's God's will. If it's not happening, it's God's will. But whatever is occurring around you, love what is. Like just love what is. And I think that that's a powerful lesson.
Mm.
And maybe that is the way to practice an active path of this.
Mm. Just gonna move that up a bit. We happy with that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So it's a short one. Do you want to read number 3?
Sure. God's oneness and ours are not separate because his oneness encompasses ours. To join with me is to restore his power to you because we are sharing it. I offer you only the recognition of his power in you, but in that lies all truth. As we unite with him. Glory be to the union of God and his holy sons. All glory lies in them because they are united. The miracles we do bear witness to the will of the Father for his Son, and to our joy in uniting with his will for us.
I love that bit around the miracle and reunite his will for us, because Ian is cancer free all in 1 year.
Nice.
Awesome, Callie.
And that's because he reunited his will.
Sorry. Thanks, mate.
I'm really happy for you, Callie.
Yes, thank you.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
When it says his holy sons, is that referring to mankind, all human beings?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that really puts more power into the next line for me, at least.
Yes. And I think we are all included in them and they in that sentence. I kind of feel like them and they means over there, but them and they is us.
Yeah.
The glory lies in us because we are united. Shall we move on to number 4? It's probably time for me to read, I guess. When you unite with me, you are uniting without the ego, because I have renounced the ego in myself and therefore cannot unite with yours. Our union is therefore the way to renounce the ego in you. The truth in both of us is beyond the ego. Our success in transcending the ego is guaranteed by God, and I share this confidence for both of us and all of us. I bring God's peace back to all his children because I received it of him for us all. Nothing can prevail against our united wills because nothing can prevail against God's. So how do we, this is my struggle when I can see people are coming from ego, and Gary, you've done this magically. I know you've done it in like classes that I've seen you do it. So someone is speaking just from ego. How do you draw them out of that to bring them back into oneness so we can all talk together? When they're angry and self-involved and delusional about what the truth is, and you have to interact with them.
I would love to hear what other people do instead of listening to myself. What do you all do with that?
I run away and hide.
I love you for that, Carly.
I think it's
I have to-
tricky. Sorry, Jane, you go. I can't see on my phone. You go.
Oh, okay, Kylie. I have to say that I think there's always common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can establish even just one commonality, and then I find that I think I almost feel it incumbent upon me to try and pull them out from themselves and into the vulnerable part of themselves, because if they're up here vibrating at a white knuckled kind of existence of anger and fear, if you can ask them about their fear, ask about, well, do when do you feel vulnerable? I guess that's what I listen for, is where are they vulnerable, and could you talk to me about that? What do you think about that? Do you ever have times where you doubt, or because just bring them down, because it's a crummy place to be. It's a lonely place to be. It's like a pedestal is a lonely place to be. So that's I've had pretty good luck with that. And then sharing mine, my vulnerability. So that's, yeah.
Thanks, Jane. I guess it's the biggest test of being able to tap into God's will at that point in time.
Well, if we look at what we've been reading, which is creating unification with our brothers and our sisters, what you said, Jane, was I think very accurate, where we have to reach a common place of outcome. It's like to ask the person by their overt behavior, what is it that you want to achieve? What do you want out of this situation? And depending on what comes out of their mouth next, you follow that to its logical conclusion. Is that ultimately, when you ask a person, what do you want from this situation, they'll say, well, I want to be heard. Let's just hypothetically say that. And then you say, okay, when you're heard, what do you want to feel once you're heard? And eventually you get down to, I want to be validated, and I want to be appreciated for my perspective and my opinion. In other words, they want some kind of validation ultimately.
Mm.
And when you then begin to start validating them and appreciating them, the walls of resistance start to come down almost automatically. There's five things that people want most in relationship to others. We want to be seen. And this is all of the ego, of course. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. You want to be understood, validated, and appreciated. But it's in that appreciation and the validation that you can begin to start healing the pain that they carry that keeps them more separate. If you can be in the emotional state of seeing that relationship as a holy encounter, you yourself being in the vibration of seeing them as a holy encounter, that begins to soften it as well. I trained one of my clients who is an equine trainer who works with horses. You would love her, V. And she trains all these really wealthy women to ride horses, these beautiful horses. And I started talking about how you have to truly appreciate the horse. You have to love the horse. You have to thank the horse for letting you be on its back at the end of a ride. You have to be able to really connect to the horse and have your rider really connect heartfully with the horse they're riding. And so she says, well, since we've done that, the horses have changed, the energy in the barn has changed, the riders have changed, and it's by creating that kind of oneness, let's for the horse, but with you and the horse, just through appreciation, validation, and love, really. And it's the same thing that you would do with another person. The very exact same thing. You have to love and appreciate that the filters that they're seeing the reality through, not yours, but they're conditioned to see the world the way they see it. They're conditioned and have got a lifetime of evidence that the way they see the world is the correct and right way. The opportunity is to build a bridge between your perspective and their perspective, but it's always built through creating a common link, which is we all want to be validated, seen, heard, understood, and appreciated. When you offer that to someone, they will eventually offer it back to you. But you have to hold the space, and I think this is where the practicality of the course is. We have to hold the space of loving and appreciating the differences in the middle of it, which means we can't be really attached to our hallucination. We have to be attached to the commonality between the differences. If we can do that in that moment, we start to pull down the walls that divide us. Hard to do, but it's worth it to do. So I've only been able to do that a few times. I'm truly fiery and judgmental, but once in a while, a ray of sunlight shines through the clouds of my ego, and I can go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing to live the Course of Miracles, and I get happier. And most importantly, you guys, whenever any of us do this, when I'm able to do that, I feel so strong. Like I feel invincible. that I was able to walk through that experience and still feel love for that person and still view it as a holy encounter. So my invitation to you is, we think it's about them, that we're doing it for them. Oh, no, no, I'm totally selfish. I'm doing it for me. I know that if I do that for him or her, I get stronger. I get stronger, I get more loving, and I start creating this habit of being able to do that. And eventually, if we're able to do that all the time, we go into heaven. I am convinced of it, that facing the conflicts and our judgments of others is a pathway to God. Because when we stop judging and we start seeing God in all things, then we are actually in heaven, because we are seeing the divine in all things. We don't have to wait to get there. We can be there right now. And I think that's what the Course is ultimately teaching. I can't do it yet, but I think that's what it's teaching.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if it's 1 hour that we can be in that holy encounter.
How about 5 minutes, Jane? Even if it's 5 minutes. I'm going for 5 minutes. That's what I'm going for.
Gary, you used to do this. Don't say you don't only do it occasionally. You used to do this in every single class that I've attended with you. There would always be someone with something stopping them from hearing the lesson, and you could talk them off the edge.
You know, V, what's really weird about me, I seriously find it strange, that when I'm in front of a room and I'm training, I am channeling something else other than my personality. Something else comes through. My personality is pretty funky and underdeveloped. But when I'm talking to people, I'm training, it's like I turn into someone else. Robert even have said it, says, I don't even know who you are when you're training. You say things that you've never said before, and I don't get it. And then you come home and you're like this raging bitch in the kitchen, and you're a slob, and you fart and you do all these other things. But when you're training, you're this guy. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, I think something else just comes through. So that's what you're seeing, V. Or that's what you saw. Day-to-day Gary is not so enlightened.
So there's hope for all of us.
Oh my God, I hope so for all of us.
That's going to be our last paragraph, number 4. So I'm going to close the thing. Book so we can see each other properly. I'm just going to make a note so I don't forget. There we go. There you all are. Wow.
And who's still writing 24 when you write the date?
No, I was quick to change over. Looking forward to 25. 25 came easy, actually. It was interesting. Who's got their lesson?
I got something I want to share with Gary pertaining to what he was just sharing. And Gary, this came out of me the other day before a podcast I did. And I wrote, "Heaven is the earth we walk upon. It's you who sees otherwise."
Nice.
Quite simple, but beautiful. And I mean, literally create it as you see it. And
It's
as
your
for my
choice, the meaning you give it.
Pardon?
It's your choice, the meaning you give it.
Mm-hmm. I'll choose my phrase, let the love of God shine upon you.
I'll go.
Oh, yeah, go.
No, who else wanted to speak? V, go
Well,
first.
I was just thinking, I tend to get lost if I do let people explore and we end up getting deeper. And then I forget what the conversation was actually for. So that's what I'm going to do, is see everything as a holy encounter, find the common ground, and remember the intention of the conversation. It's a long one this week, but I think it's important.
Awesome.
You know, V, I'm with you. The two words holy encounter have been two words that almost send chills up my spine and have for years. And to me, I think if I can say the sentence, the goal is the holy encounter, then I've really said everything. Because that is the goal.
Thank you.
Well, to reiterate and repeat that, I'm going back to an old one, and because I know that that's the way, and it is when you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. That one statement has helped me more in my day-to-day life than any other one that I've ever written out. So I'm going back to that one because that's the one I required to be ingrained the most in me. So
Thank you.
sticking with it.
Yes. Jane, did you actually was that your lesson for the week, or okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, the goal is
Holy encounter.
ultimately a holy encounter. Mhm.
Nice. Thank you. Coralie, you ready?
Yeah. The truth in both of us is beyond the ego.
Mm.
It's all saying the same thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Our own little way that we want to express it. Linda.
Well, I'm going to steal that from you, Gary. Remember that meeting people is a holy encounter,
Yes.
Yeah.
because I do have trouble with that. I do judge.
Don't we all?
Mm.
I feel much more peaceful when I don't.
Mm. Yeah. Carly?
Thank you.
Reunite with the will of the sonship. It's the perfect creator of miracles.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Go forth with our holy encounters. Holy encounters, not accountants. Yeah, sorry. Freudian slip there. Okay. See you all next
It
week.
was really good to see everyone tonight. I get joy in my heart when I hang out with you guys. So you guys are my brothers and sisters and my friends.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I
You're
wanna
all
thank
my
you.
tribe. I appreciate
Feel the
that.
same way.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay,
My
God bless you all.
success
We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.